Nothing ain't gonna stop this tea for the night.
Oh, not one thing.
Listen, guys, thank y'all for joining me. I am Danielle C. Giddens. I come to you by way of my book, From Poverty and Prison to Purpose, A Journey of Discovering Freedom. If you have not gotten a copy, you need to grab your copy. But I have a lovely guest. We have tonight's topic is about the value of relationship. The value of relationship. And if you're not familiar about my book, I spill all the tea about myself. It's a memoir about myself, all of the pain, the brokenness, and everything that I have gone through as an individual and as a person. And then the things that I've gone through, in my beauty career. But tonight, we are talking about tea that I didn't even put in my book. So, and I'm excited to have this lovely guest. So I'm gonna have her introduce herself, and then we're gonna start off by how we met. And so,
Oof.
artistically Neil.
Hello, everyone. Yay. I finally get to be on late night tea with my
Yes,
girl
girl.
Danielle. If you don't know me, if you're not familiar with me, my name is Kia Artistically Neil. I'm a stylist in the industry, an educator, industry activist. Uh, I do a whole lot of stuff, but one thing I do is this relationship thing with Danielle. There you are.
Yeah.
Thank you for
So,
having me, sweetie. Thank you.
oh no, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'll get to tell you guys truly, honestly, I'll get to spill my heart later. But right now, we have not practiced for this. This is about to be a public dialogue that
Oh,
we've had certain dialogue about certain things.
mm,
But this is about to be a public dialogue of, our relationship, the journey of our relationship. So first, I want to tell you guys the premise of this conversation. And so I told you guys that in my book, I talk about myself and I talk about my painful journeys, my trauma, and my brokenness, and how my brokenness actually gave me a different perspective on relationships and on life or situations. And so when I talk about relationships, my relationships were birthed from influenced by my grandmother and my mother. So I've watched them, as dysfunctional as our family was. My grandmother and my mother had long lasting relationships with their friends, girlfriends. And if you're a part of my Freedom Tribe, then you got my email today that talks about how they may have had disagreements, they may have fought, they may have fight, but they definitely were able to come back and love on one another. And that taught me healthy confrontation.
mm,
Or it also taught me not to let go of a relationship or figure out how to maneuver through healthy confrontation with relationships that should be valued. And so the beginning of this relationship started. I'm going to tell y'all the premise of how I came into the color culture, because that's how I met Kia Neal. So I was on the brink of just coming out of a long-term business partnership and a friendship that was a business divorce. And so I was broken, you may say. And so I was this broken person that had, well, it just, all it did was it inflicted and opened the wounds that I already had from, my relationship with my parents, because I always had these broken relationships. And so I came into this class, but I think that I met her husband first. And
mhm.
so I met him, we had a nice conversation or whatever. And then I was invited to this class, I think through Rashia. And so I went to this class, and during that time, I'm broken. I'm dealing with my pain. I'm licking my wounds, and I'm very quiet and observing. The one thing that I have always been is a person that seeks education. And that's how I got my first mentor. And so, me being a little, puppy, licking my wounds, I'm in this classroom and I see this woman that's kicking out all this knowledge, and I'm in the classroom just writing and writing. Nobody else to me is in the classroom but me, because all I could see is her husband, and me in this education. And so that's how I met Kia. And so tell them about that class.
Well, so first of all, you met my husband first because he was a distributor. So he had an amazing relationship with the DMV area. He had clients far and wide. So there was a lot of times where he would present people to me and he would say, "Hey, I think this person is really, cool, or I think they're really into education and stuff." So, you know, he would bring people to me sometimes. I go, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about that person either. Like, yeah, like, so I was kind of funny about who I brought close. And at that moment in my career, building the color culture, it was my onset. That was kind of one of my first few classes for the year that we launched the color culture. But in this particular class, I saw this woman sitting in the back, and she literally looked like, I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler. Like, she had this stone look, like all she was doing was writing notes, you guys. Like, that's all she did. She didn't smile. She didn't laugh at any of my jokes. She just took notes. And I was like, that lady is very serious. Like, whatever I do, let me empty my tank, because she wants whatever I got, right? So at the end of class, she's like, yeah, I'm going to buy this. She buys like everything off the table. And I'm like, all right, cool beans. So my husband comes back and he's like, there was a young lady in the class that I really think is going to be good with the color culture. I think you should bring her in a little bit closer. And I'm like, which one? He's like, Danielle. And I'm like, no, which one? Because I don't know everybody's name. He's like, the mean one in the back. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, oh God, not the mean one in the back. And he's like, she is mean. She actually told me off the first time or two I saw her in the salon. He was like, she was kind of mean, but I think she's going through something. But nevertheless, she's a good person. From what I can tell, she's really into color, and she's about her business, and that's the type of person you need around her. And so I had my second class, and I said, okay, let's give her a try. Let's see what happens, see how we ebb and flow. We bring her to the class to assist me in somewhat of the same version of the class, but at another salon.
Yes.
And she comes in with this cute little outfit, this little leather skirt. I'll never forget that leather skirt. It was a cute little leather skirt, but it was dyed, right? So I was like, okay, sis, come on through. So we're doing the class. She's like, whatever you need me to do. She's like, let me help you clean up. Let me do. So every time I get ready to do something, Danielle, you guys, is like, I got it. 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 But I think it was at the end of the class, we were cleaning up. And of course, people had been spilling color and throwing stuff on the floor. And she gets down, and I'm looking like, girl, I wasn't getting on my knees in this skirt. She gets down on her knees in this leather skirt, and she starts scrubbing the floor, like the mats. And I'm thinking to myself, anybody that can take care of somebody else's stuff like it's their own is all right with me. And so there it started, my relationship with Danielle C. Giddens.
Yes, yes.
Girl.
And she always tell that story. She's been telling that story in all of the classes. And so, that was the beginning of me. That's how we saw it. We were in this like bubble. It was our relationship. But from a different perspective now, looking at it, that was the transference of this broken girl now that actually she had a relationship with her mentor. She had a relationship as a friendship and a business partnership, 3 relationships. And so she left that relationship with nothing, no relationship. So that inflicted on her abandonment issues that she already had with her mom, with her being a parentless child. And so here I am in color culture what a new mentor that I'm just taken aback, love her to death. I'm going to ride with her. And it was like my new birth. We had so much fun. We, bonded in so many different ways. And it was, awesome. But I remember this one question she asked me.
Mm,
One question. We went to dinner, and this was the beginning of our relationship. And she said, "What do you want out of the color culture? What
mhm,
can I help you become in color culture?" And I couldn't answer it.
mm,
I couldn't answer it. I said, "I don't know. Let me think about it." I didn't know. I didn't know what I wanted. And, what I realized today is that I didn't know because I didn't value me.
mm.
So if I have no value of myself and self-worth of myself, then I can't tell somebody else what I expect or what I want. So do you remember that?
I'm glad you pivoted over to me real quick because I didn't want to interrupt you, but I really wanted to say, I don't know if I took it like you didn't have a lot of confidence or value in yourself. I just felt like you were in a very new space because I
Mm-hmm.
was very aware of a new relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
I felt like you just didn't know what was next
Mm-hmm.
exactly. But
See,
one thing
I
I've
got mentors.
always, huh?
I said, see, that's why you got mentors. They make it nice and fluffy and pretty for you.
You, but see, when you said that, I was thinking, okay, she just doesn't know. But I felt like this was an opportunity because I believe that when you don't know where you're going, serve somebody else and let God show you where you're supposed to be. And I
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like that's what you were doing in that
Mm-hmm.
season. Like you were serving me because you were serving the color culture in a way that I didn't expect, didn't know I would need in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different ways. So I
Mm-hmm.
think, you looking at your onset of the relationship with me as a mentor, I looked at you as a mentee, but I had to learn to depend on you in ways that I had not imagined. Like you were there for me as a support, as a sister,
Mm-hmm.
as a prayer warrior in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of occasions.
Mm-hmm.
And you had literally become like a kickstand, my right hand,
Right.
even in a lot of occasions, and I could trust you.
Right. Right.
And that was huge because I
Mm.
didn't have a lot of people around me that I could trust.
Mhm.
First of all, I
Mhm.
was new to the area.
Right.
Even in 11 and 12 years being here, I still feel like there's very few people that I trust. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just
Right.
around me a lot. And people will tell you the ones that are close, they're close. The ones
Mhm.
that are kind of just watching,
You
you're
already know.
I'm kind of in or out. I'm not
Right.
really a good in between type person.
Right.
And I'll just mention this when you went back to say that you knew how to have healthy confrontation.
Mhm.
Good thing, because at first I didn't. I didn't
Mhm.
for a long time in my life. I had to learn how to get to that. I was very if it didn't work, we just cut that off.
We cut it
So
off.
it's kind of funny how I had evolved as a person
Yes.
just in time to meet you because
Yes.
it could have been a whole different
Right.
way. And I'm glad God got us both together
Yes.
emotionally, which we can talk
Mhm.
about down the line, to be able
Yes.
to be what each other needed. So
Yes.
yeah.
And it's so funny that you said that because that takes us
Okay.
into, it's funny because I was just getting ready to say that, yes, you said you rely on me in a way that you didn't know that you needed, i.e. Jersey just said the general. And so I put that in I put that in my email because that's what everybody called me. Every team member called me the general. And so it was basically, that she trusted me enough to be able to, carry out her plan. I'm a visionary. I do know that about myself. I did know that about myself. If I know anything else, I did know that I was a visionary. And I'm a servant by heart. That's who I am. That's one of my gifts. And then the other thing that you said was, we had this relationship that came in, and it was the beginning of a relationship. And yeah, Keith met me in the middle of that separation. And so I was like, but then when I saw y'all at BBBE, he was like, I was like, hey. So then that's when we had a different conversation.
Yeah, he
But
was shocked that you were nice that day.
yeah, he was shocked that I was nice
He
that
was
day.
like, that lady almost cussed me
Yeah,
out. And
like
she
what
put
is
me
that
out the
with
show one day.
you, girl? That's because I was free. I was out of Egypt. Hey, yeah, I was out of Egypt and I was happy. And so the other thing is that when our relationship, the birth of this spiritual aspect of our relationship, when you said that, we cover each other. And so there was a point when we were, hanging out at these hair shows, and Keith was always the one that covered us in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And one day we were out, he wasn't there. This was the first show that he missed. And he called me on my cell phone and was like, I need to talk to you for a minute. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went into the other room and he was like, I need you to cover my wife. I'm not there, but I can't be there, but I need you to cover my wife when I'm not there. And I was just like, okay, because God knew that I when it comes to him in prayer, I take it serious. And so when he told me that, I was just like, okay, I got that. So the general was like, okay, hung up the phone, like, okay, God, I gotta pray. Like, I'm gonna need you to help me. And that became a regular for us.
It
It
did.
became a regular when he wasn't there. Then I prayed, and covered us, or somebody else prayed. But for the most part, that was the beginning of our spiritual relationship that was taken
I didn't
form.
know that. I didn't know that you were being prompted. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I did.
Mm, I didn't know that.
Your baby was taking care of you.
Yeah, I remember them circles. Hey, Crystal. Crystal's
Okay.
part of the original Color
All of the
Culture
all
Crew.
of the
They would have
originals
to
are
put
on
me in
the
a
line.
circle, child. Put me in a circle in prayer. I said, Lord have mercy. What's happening there?
You like, what
But I
happened?
needed that. I
Yes.
didn't know that Keith was kind of setting all of
He
that up.
always
So,
the orchestra sometimes, but yes. So that was the beginning of our spiritual relationship, and I didn't know that. But okay, here's the funny thing: after that whole relationship took place, y'all saw it. Y'all saw our lives. We was at these shows. We was having fun. We were enjoying ourselves. And here's the first thing that happened.
what happened?
The first thing that happened that was a telltale that, girl, you misplaced in some relationship somewhere, because you don't had no business writing nobody no letter about. You don't remember that?
Which
Okay, y'all.
the
I
long letter?
had this long letter
The
about,
one
because
about me and my man.
yeah, you
Oh
don't.
no, let me tell that story. You
No,
can't tell that story. You
no,
you
no,
can't
no.
you can't
Let
tell
me
that
tell
story.
why I wrote it. I
Okay, tell me why
wrote it,
you wrote it.
y'all. I
I want to
wrote
hear.
it
I want to hear the
in my
story.
mind. I'm telling you, your brokenness will make you think you have, some places, and you have a perspective or a say in, people's relationship. But here's the thing. What I realized today was that, just like I put my spiritual parents, I made them my parents. So I worship them instead of worshiping God, because I have no parents.
Mm,
So here I am, I'm doing the same thing in this new relationship. So I looked at both of y'all as a parent figure,
mm-hmm.
which was the twisted perspective of somebody
Mm.
that's dealing with brokenness. So that's why I wrote y'all. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna write her a letter, because it's like I wrote a letter like, you're like, my parents was getting ready to get a divorce, and I don't know what's happening, but I'm gonna write the letter because I don't need them to get a divorce. Now you tell them.
Okay, so let me just be very transparent. Me and my husband, like every marriage has its ups and downs. We have seen ebbs and flows, and you guys have got to
That's
know
marriage.
that me and my husband also shared, we were in the same industry. He was a distributor, I was an educator. You have got to know that when you are in the same house with a person that you've got to eat with, sleep with, make love to, do business with, make appointments, have vision with, execute with, pray with, go to church with. That's a lot, and things can get really muddy sometimes. And so we were in a really bad space for a while, which is why I think he used to call you and tell you to pray, because he didn't feel like you could probably call me in prayer. I'm like, what do you want?
Yeah. Which one?
So, yeah, what do you want? So I think during that particular time, we were in one of our lows.
Mhm.
And I remember uh, Danielle writing me this long. Like when I tell you I opened that email, like I was doing like, I was like, what in the ham sandwich do we have here? And all to the short, she was just like, you guys, I just feel like your relationship is just such an intricate part of, the color culture. And, I just don't know what to do if something was going to happen there. And I think that, it's falling apart. And I think that we're going to lose the caliber of I mean, it was deep. And I was reading it like,
What wrong with the little girl?
I was like, because I left something. And all of this had came off of a Philly show that I left something, but I was so angry at him because I was mad at him about something else. You equated me leaving something we needed for the show, and you were so upset at the show. That was right
Yeah,
before.
I don't play about leaving no stuff.
Where's the stand? Where's the thing for the table? Like, what are we doing here? I don't even have whatever. And I was like, girl, we gonna put these things on the table, and you were pissed, like you were so angry that I had left something. And then when we got back, it was like, yeah, you forgetting stuff. And it was like tough. And I was like, first of all, I'm being scolded. Okay. I left something. Okay, I forgot something. Like, why is that such a big deal? And when I got the letter and got to the end of it, it was started talking more about Keith and I.
Mm-hmm.
And it started being less about the color culture and more about your trying to hold on to make me hold on, and for him and I to not get a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at Keith and I said, we got another child. I said, I said that to him. I said, we have another child. I said, I feel like um we now have invited people into our living room. And I feel like I'm embarrassed because where I needed you to vent because you were the closest. And you got to remember, all of us, I think in a certain period of time, we're going through stuff. I think
Yes.
there's a lot of bonding and pain
Yeah. We
during,
definitely were.
like all of us, right?
Yeah.
We're all going through things. So it was just as well that cock back after the show and have a drink and everybody vent, right?
Right.
But I couldn't contribute. I couldn't participate in that. And I realized in that moment it had kind of done something to our relationship for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it took it didn't take the shine off, but it took I couldn't use you as a soft place to land because you
Right.
were taking everything so hard. And
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be a viable person in the business even
Right.
by letting you into my personal space. So there was a moment where I stopped telling you stuff because I was
Right.
like, no,
Right.
everything just got to be fine when it comes to Danielle, because Danielle gonna break down
Yeah.
like the 10-year-old that's like, no, mommy and dad don't get divorced. But here's the caveat. I had no idea that you were going through that was an issue. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really understand why. I just knew that it was. And
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of pulled back. I remember saying, I can't tell her anything. I can't let her know. And that was hard because I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to,
Yeah.
but I had to kind of shift our relationship a little bit and take it more back to the business, which was
Business.
fine
Yeah.
for the
Right.
while.
Right. Because sometimes that's what you have to do that.
Yeah, you have to take control and reposition the relationship. So where I felt like I had gotten too comfortable, I think that what happens in any leadership position,
Mm-hmm.
also, there's always you and then there's them. And no matter how close you think you are, like you have a
Yeah.
salon, you have
Yeah.
co-workers, y'all can hang out and throw back drinks all you want, but when it's time to have the meeting, you're the head, and you
Yes.
know what I'm saying, you're the
It's
boss. They are
healthy,
it's a
them
different
healthy
dynamic.
boundaries. You
There
have
has
to
to be
set
those
them.
boundaries. So
And
then I had to, for the first time, pull that
yes,
boundary card in and say,
yes.
but
Right.
I didn't know what I was dealing with though. I didn't know that
Yeah,
we were equating
the
us to a
funny
thing.
thing is that because I left, we started the color culture. This color culture journey started in 2016 after our first culture camp. So really, that's when it took off. And I had, I was still in the midst of all of the other things because that ended in April of 2015. So I was still coming out of all of that, along with things that I never dealt with. And so, being with you, learning all that we were learning, still running our businesses, still moving the way that we were, I think that over the period of the years, what happened was that I got burnt out. And so when I got burnt out, I started looking at things like it's because of you. It wasn't because, I decided to do these things. It was like, I'm tired, everything was your fault because everybody likes to place blame on, other people. And so then I started looking at it like I was tired. And I started looking at it like, okay, what am I doing? Like, what is this? What is about to happen to me? And it wasn't until, and I think that we even started having friction in our relationship because
You
I
think
think,
so? I don't remember no
remember,
friction.
okay, so remember that time, this was after one of the times that I'm getting ready to say, but remember when we were in Kiawah Island and me and you was just going at it like the Golden Girls?
No. No. I remember
It
the
was
I
like snap,
remember
snap,
Kiowa
snap, snap,
being
snap.
I remember Kiowa being a pivotal time. I do remember, but I don't remember details for whatever reason. I only remember the 8-hour ride back home. And
Oh
I said,
yeah.
Danielle, there's
That
no
was a
plan.
long ride home.
I said, Danielle, I remember that there was, I don't remember like details. I think I was so engrossed in it because I didn't want to be at Kiowa, to be completely honest. I
Okay.
felt like Kiowa for me was going to be my last culture camp. That's how I went into it. Was just so much going on at that
Yeah.
time. I
Okay.
don't really know exactly, but I know that again, probably marital stuff, business stuff, color culture stuff. Like I just probably was I remember going saying, I'm gonna just get through this and this gonna be my last one. I'm not doing this no more. I'm tired. I was tired, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
tired. I don't know who you cutting off, but okay.
Right.
But I was tired, right? So
Right.
I was like, this is gonna be my last one. But I remember a little bit of we need to talk.
Mm. You can
I could
feel it.
feel you moving away. And, the team had already started to disintegrate a little bit. Like all
Mhm.
the originals had started to go. And then they were your BFF. So I already knew that triangle was going to come. I knew that the trifecta was coming. Well, that's what I expected.
Yeah.
Let me say that. I expected you to not be there long because everyone else had left.
Mhm.
I didn't have any idea until you said just now that you was blaming me and you was talking all this trash. You was talking, yeah, I didn't know that, sis. You didn't
Was.
tell me all
Yeah, I
about that.
was like, it's her fault. I'm tired. I gotta
Um,
go here again.
yeah, I could understand that. So I asked for a long ride home. I said, we're gonna drive home. And I said, and we're
Mhm.
gonna get in this car for 9 hours and we're gonna talk this thing out.
We
And you
did.
was like, what? And I said, we driving home. And you were like, oh my God.
I know. That was the longest ride ever.
That was a That
But
was a very pivotal time. That 9 hours probably changed the dynamic of our relationship forever.
it did. It did. And I will say because, again, I still had enough love for you, to be able to, say what I felt, how I felt, why I felt like I was tired, and then for us to have the conversation about it. But then also enough love to respect, who we had been when it came to the color culture. Because at that moment, I didn't have any, I wasn't leaving, but I was just trying to figure out how I can fix what I was feeling. And
Mhm.
so I think that, that conversation helped us kind of like, okay, we good. We can, do this. And I think what happened
Mm.
was after we had that conversation, it was still me realizing like I don't know what I want, but I did feel like you felt like that was the last culture camp. I did feel like my tenure at color culture was coming to an end, but I
Mhm.
didn't know when, I didn't know how, and it was starting to make me afraid because here I am again, the little girl is about to break away from yet another mentor that has, given me a lot, but yet I feel broken. And so I couldn't figure out how to navigate through those feelings. But I told y'all we had a spiritual relationship. And so because
Yeah.
we couldn't figure it out, God figured it out. And I remember this um it was in August. It
Mhm.
was when we went to Mentorship Miami. We showed up at Mentorship Miami. It was that whole, if you guys never been to a Mentorship Miami show, it starts off, that Saturday starts off with a worship service. And
Mhm.
so we all are in worship service, and the spirit of the living God came in and breathed on the entire place.
Yes, it.
When I say breathe, it breathed on the entire place. And what I didn't know was that I had visited somebody that same month that made me uncomfortable, that I wrote about in the book, but I didn't know that why I was uncomfortable in that visit with that person.
Mm.
But it was the person that that victimized me during
Mm.
my molestation. But I didn't know that. I just knew that, okay, why am I uncomfortable all of a sudden? And so we in Mentorship Miami, the lady, just everybody, I'm weeping, I'm crying for like on the floor, like crying, like from the depths of my soul. Don't know why I'm crying, but I'm crying. And the lady comes over to me and touches me and start praying over me. And she says, you crying for something you didn't even know that was inside of you.
Mm.
And when she said that, it made me cry even harder. But what I do know is that I was crying for almost an hour. But I remember hearing her say, I need you to cover her. I didn't know it was you. I didn't know that you were covering me until I got up. And so that day, regardless of what I was going through in that moment, like I remember we didn't even clean up. We didn't even set up. We went upstairs and I went on the balcony, and it was just like God had his way with me that day.
Mm.
So what I do remember was that God connected us in the spirit, because I had never had a friend or a mentor cover me in that capacity. So in the moment that God was like, this relationship is about to split, but I'm gonna give her something else to hold on to. And I didn't know what I was holding on to, but it was a spiritual thing that I was holding on to. And so, that was, I don't think I didn't put that in the book. I don't think, and I don't even know if I even had this conversation with you ever
I
before.
don't think so, because no, not quite, not quite this much detail.
This late
No.
night tea, y'all. You get details in late night
Yeah,
tea.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know this much is in detail like this. What I'll say is during our ride, I
Mhm,
knew your tenure with Color Culture was coming to an end.
mhm.
And I remember on the ride, I said, Danielle, we've got 3 shows. Because Culture Camp was like in July, or was Culture Camp in
It
July
was
or
it was it
or
was
in
June
May?
or July.
It was in
It
July.
was
And I said, I must have said, I
yeah, you
only
did
got
say that.
1 or 2 more, whatever. And I said, see me through that. I
You
said,
did say that.
because what I knew was Color Culture was great at what it did. We had phenomenal education. We had a phenomenal spiritual relationship and a covering that was undeniable. There was a
Mhm.
glow about it that people came, that they were magnetically drawn to us.
Yes.
And a lot of times we would always figure out wherever we were, there's always a person that we were supposed to meet. We always could
Mhm.
look back at the end and go, she was why we're here. This person is why we're here. And
Mhm.
it's never a huge group. It's usually 1 or 2 that we end up praying for. I've never been in any event with us as a group where we hadn't ended up praying for
Right.
somebody,
Right.
blessing somebody,
Right.
going above and beyond, doing something that was had nothing to do with yellow and blue makes green, right?
Yes.
And so, but while we were doing that, we didn't have any money.
No.
We were exhausting all of our money getting to the shows and doing things. So
Yes.
there wasn't a lot of money, and a lot of the burden was bare
Mhm.
through my original 3 or 4.
Yes.
And I remember when everybody started like, oh, this is just going to be too much. There was nothing I could do about that because I still didn't have it to give.
Right.
I still didn't have it to give. All I had was a vision,
Right.
right? All I knew was we are supposed to be doing this.
Right.
And I'm going to give you everything I got to help you make it on the other side, to be
Right.
more profitable, to make more
Right.
money, to support your businesses, do whatever you guys need. And exposure, have access to things you wouldn't normally have access to,
Right.
people you wouldn't have access to, relationships that y'all developed that would not have happened. So
Yeah.
that was all I could give, but that was a lot.
It was a
That
lot.
was a lot, but it was all I could give at the time. But at the end of the day, things do run thin. But
Mhm.
as they were running thin for you, like I said, they were running thin for me,
Thank
and I was
you.
like, I can't continue to move like this.
Right.
And y'all see me through this summer, see me
You
through the
did say that.
summer, and I already knew you were leaving. No matter what you told me at the end of that car ride, when you got out, I said, Keith, she leaving. We just got. I'm just gonna prepare for
Right.
that. And so us having the next conversation after mentorship
Mm-hmm.
was not only not a surprise,
Mm-hmm.
but it was necessary
It was.
and it was ordained.
Mm-hmm.
And I left that meeting with more respect. If I could have imagined, I left with more respect intact for the woman that you are
Mm-hmm.
than I probably ever had accumulatively. And that's saying a lot because I had a lot going in.
Right. Right.
It
Right.
was because of how you did things.
Right.
It was because you fought with yourself to leave. And it was because you understood protocol on how to leave. And
Right.
how you exit a place has a lot to do with the relationship
Yeah.
that is maintained after the fact. You
Yeah.
can cut a rope or you can burn a rope.
Yeah.
But but if some ropes can be tied back together, but
Yeah.
some can just simply be loosened, and you still have this connection. So I feel like because you did things a particular way, it was
Mm-hmm.
very easy
Right.
for me to maintain that relationship. But one thing I will share with you that we haven't talked about is in that car ride home, when you shared with me that you felt like you were stretched thin and I kept saying, but Danielle, you're stretched thin about things that you can control. Like you can
Right.
say no to a lot of things. And I started putting things together like, yeah, but this is how you did your church. You stayed longer at one church than you needed to
Right.
when you knew it was time to go.
Right.
Like
Right.
you
Right.
had a
Right.
hard time transitioning out of relationships. And I was like, yeah, but this is on you. You got to stop feeling like you can't serve to a fault. You serve until God tells you to move.
And
And I
that's
think
what I
that was
learned from
a
you.
conversation.
And
Yes.
that is the moment where that is what I learned from you. I learned a lot from you. You just watching you because I had never seen it. I had never seen, a woman execute herself and, do all of these things and still maintain a relationship. And what I will say is that the funny thing was you had a lot of respect for me, but the fact that you show up because
Mm,
I don't know if I ever spoke it, but my last mentor, I went to um, a counseling session for us to have a counseling session.
mm,
And I went to two counseling sessions. We had agreed we were going to go to counseling. Went to two counseling sessions and she didn't show up.
hmm,
So that I was like crying, like it was just like it broke me because I felt like of all of the things that we shared, you couldn't show up for me. And so here's the thing: we toiling with this relationship, and it's like this long thing, like who you gonna make the call, when you going, and so I finally made the call. We showed up, y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all when we sat at this table. Neither one of us ain't say nothing, but we both started crying.
and bonefish.
Yes,
We sat in that booth and just looked at each other because we knew why we were there.
yes. And I was like, when we both sat there and
Mhm,
all we could do with these emotions was sit and look at each other and tears just start rolling down our face.
mhm,
I
mhm,
was like, this is God. Like
mhm,
this is a relationship that I can't deny. That's something greater than who we are. And so that kind of made everything a little, better, because it was like we both had this, it was like this, phew, and then we had this conversation. But, that in and of itself wasn't just, it was respect for you, but for me, it was a mentor showed up for me. Because here, you didn't realize this, but a lot of my healing process was taking place after I left color culture. Because I told you I was leaving to, pursue writing my book.
Yep.
And though that me leaving, it took a 3-year journey. What I also realized was that I had made it speaks to what you were saying in the car. I had always became comfortable with being the supporting actress in everybody's show, everybody's film. I never wanted to play a leading role, and that was because of my self-worth and my self-value that I didn't have for myself to be able to say, you deserve to be on the front line. That's who God made you to be. That's who he purposed you to be. And I didn't know that. But I learned that from you.
But and I love that when the car, when you expressed, like, and it was almost angry. And I was like, but who's stopping you? I mean, because I think when people are trying to express themselves and they don't really know how, right?
Yeah.
You feel like you gotta just be so combustible. Like it's almost like, I just feel like I need to be doing something. I don't know. And I was like, but who's stopping you, sis? Like, but who's stopping you? Like,
Right.
this is a relationship, but this relationship is multifaceted.
Right.
Like, and I think I said to you in the car, we'll never not be friends.
Right.
We don't have to work together to be friends.
Right.
If this time comes to an end and you want to pursue writing a book, and I said, do that.
Yeah,
But
you
see,
did.
what I've come to learn is that real leaders produce leaders.
Mm. Mm.
They don't want followers.
Right. Right.
I I had this lady named Miss Betty Clausen tell me this once, at a hair show, at a Dudley hair show a few years ago, and she said it to me and about 2 other people who was in a group. She says, "You're an oak tree."
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Oak trees
I remember.
only create more oak trees."
Mm-hmm.
I don't. There's no other fruit branch or tree or likeness going to come from me. Everybody that comes from me is going to be an oak tree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So go be an oak tree, sis. Like, I'm just like, who are you angry with? Are you angry with you because you haven't found the energy to put in your foot. You haven't found the right gas to put in your feet to actually move. Even though you knew you wanted to do it, even though you knew you wanted to leave, and this time was coming to an end, you fought with leaving. I'm thinking, but why are you fighting? Like, just go. Like, do that. If it means not doing the color culture, and all I said was just get me through these last 2 now, because I ain't got no. It's me, you, and Ab, and I had like one more. I was like, it's me, you, and Abney. Now we could do it. So
Right.
let's do this.
Yes.
And then go. And I think that's the beautiful part of
That is the beautiful
being
part.
a mentor, is when you can give a proper send off
Yes.
with support to someone that's on to the next.
Right.
Nobody should want you to be attached to their vision only. They were there for a season.
Right.
And
Right.
when God does show you the vision, when you serve and God shows you what your next is supposed to look like, you can't stay there and hide.
Right.
You got to move on. And
Right.
and I would be remiss and out of order, first of all, to try to hold you back for my own
Yeah.
selfish reasons.
Right.
It was very surprising to me that every time I show up to something of yours, you make such a big deal, and I'll be like, but why wouldn't I come to your grand opening, or why wouldn't I come to your this and that, or why wouldn't I? And you go on, and I'll be like, but we friends, and I don't know. You tell me, why is that so
It's
hard?
because, like, after when you read my book,
Mhm.
what did you say to me? I didn't realize most of your healing journey took place while you was with the color culture.
Yeah, I didn't know. I
Yeah,
didn't
I
know.
didn't know
The sad
neither.
part is I was so broken during a lot of that too.
Right.
I was good at what I did,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I was not good at home.
Mm, mm, mm.
But I was good at what I did.
You was good at which, and that's how we check out. That's the alpha female. That's what we do. We
We
will
did.
dive 100% over here because it's working, and it allows us not to look at what's over there not working. We don't know how to put the energy over there. We don't know how to fix that, and that's where I was in color culture. I didn't know the pieces to start picking up from this brokenness that I had experienced over a lifetime, and which allowed me to grab and hold on to these relationships that were that God had, kind of like, it's time to move on. Like, I didn't know how to do that. And so it's like, the little girl that's looking for her father and end up in all of these relationships with men. She hold on to them regardless of how, bad they are, because she don't want her father to leave again. And so that's how I was always in relationships, especially with somebody that had given me so much. And so the fact that you spoke about, when I would see you, show up. So here's the thing: when I realized I don't even know if I told you this, but
You
so
ain't told me a lot of stuff. Let's just
I
keep
know
that
this
above
late
right
night
here.
tea.
I
This
feel
late
like
night tea.
this is a whole new
That's,
conversation right
yeah,
here. So
I know.
this is
I
real
know. I
tea
left
right
it
here.
for the tea. I left it for the people.
Okay.
But I when so we journeyed through that relationship, and I think we did, text each other here and there. We were kind of like healing every now and then. We like, hey, how you doing, or whatever. We text each other. And one of the things that catapult me into, I was like, oh, 2020, we pandemic, I'm home, let me start the bankable beauty professional. And so, I'm doing all of that, coming up with all of that. And then you are, saying stuff to me like, oh, I see you, sis, go ahead, girl, saying stuff like that. And so then I'm building a website, and I asked you, could you send me a video? And you was like, yeah, I should have some time. But when I watched the video, I was sitting next to my husband, and when I watched the video, I cried. And I cried because of the reason that I had never, like, people don't understand, like, when you have relationships with people, and you look up to people. You have the people you look up to, you have your peers, and then you have the people that you help. When you're looking up to somebody, and that person, and this has happened, this is why people leave churches, this is why people leave organizations. When you look up to somebody and that person don't never recognize you for who you are, and don't have time for you at all, it cuts people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had that experience over and over and over again. It might have started with my parents and family, and then it might have ended up with mentors, mentees, pastors. I've had that experience. And so it was like a pivotal moment for me, because I sat and I watched that video twice and I cried, because here it was, a person that, I did feel like I served and I gave a lot to. You gave back to me in that moment. And that was something that I had never had. So it was like I watched that video over and over a couple of times, because what you said to me, who I was, it was affirming me as a person. The broken girl had never been really affirmed in her life. So when somebody did speak words to her to affirm her, it was, I took those words very seriously. So for me, yeah, it was a lot for you to show up to my grand opening. I mean, not the grand opening first. Yeah, it was a lot for you to show up to a salon that I was fixing up. You heard about me fixing and doing this salon. I gotta get back to the salon. I gotta get back to the salon. After I left that my whole journey with color culture, you knew I wanted my own salon again. So to hear me talk about this, and it finally happened in the middle of the pandemic, and the day before we opened, I ain't call her. She ain't know nothing about me. She just knew that she asked me when was I opening, and I told her. The day before I opened, she showed up that night to my salon and helped me finish up. That was pivotal for me. Like it was like the little girl that's been looking for people to love on her because she's been loving on people all her life. Finally is can get reciprocation in a relationship, not just a relationship of a person that she looked up to. So it was a lot for you to show up to me, even though I served you, you didn't have to. So that was a lot for you to show up to the opening and then take me to the store and buy stuff for me. You know, people don't gotta spend their money on you, but you spent your money on me and said you don't owe me nothing. And then put up color. You know, you reciprocated the relationship that I had given to you, and that was major for me. Not only that, you showed up to my you know, the grand opening. You know, to you it wasn't a lot, but to me, that's all I had been looking for all my life was for people to show up for Danielle Rogers.
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. What's that? I don't do that, sis.
Bro, you know, and it's really that's what I said. That's what I said at the grand opening, like my birthday party. I had never had a birthday party until I was 37, and my daughters gave me my first birthday party. And so, you know, for me to have a birthday party on book launch and for people to show up for me, it was just like this magnitude of love that God was like, I'm gonna give you all of the love that you need that you didn't, and everybody gonna love on you to this capacity because I love you. And it wasn't just you saying it at that moment, I believed it, and it was God. And that was because my perspective was no longer from a broken place. It was no longer from a broken place. But then there was a time where I did sit back and I thought about the beauty industry. And you know, I my last mentor worked for a company that she was an educator for years. And she spent her own money showing up for this company and educating for this company. So what God was showing me was that I mean, it's not about what you spent. It's about what you gained.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the beginning of my perspective to be able to look at this relationship from a different angle and to appreciate what I had gotten. And what I had gotten out of this relationship was education that catapulted me into being a colorist, into being able to, you know, get into my own salon, into being able to have relationships with other people that will send me a whole box, 3 box fulls of color and not want anything from it. A relationship that when my husband and I were in a turmoil, I don't even know if I had a conversation with you, but you was like, let's go away. You sold into my marriage over a weekend, you know, a whole entire weekend. And when it was time to pay, you was like, I got it, sis. You know, so that's what I had learned about this relationship, that this relationship was, you know, I was grateful that I had enough sense and enough wisdom to not throw away a relationship, to fight for it, because that's what my mother and my grandmother taught me. But then I also was able to see all of the vital parts in this relationship that I couldn't see through my pain.
That was a lot.
I know.
I love it.
I know.
A lot of that I'd never heard.
I know.
And yeah.
And I wanted to say it publicly. I wanted to say it publicly. I wanted to say that I value you. I love you. And that's why I still call you queen, regardless, because that's how I look at you. Like, you're the queen that invested education in my life. You're the queen that showed me, like, you know, because you don't take no cut cards. No, you say no, 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 all day long. Ain't doing it. Nah, that ain't what I'm doing. I learned that's what I learned. I learned how to say no. I learned how to value me because you valued yourself. You was like some stuff you was like, no, I'm not gonna be a part of. And so, me, I'm like, well, what we gonna tell the people?
That is, you know what, Danielle, you know what's so good about this is that I'm so grateful that God allowed me to operate in a space that you needed and not even have to know it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even have to know all of that. Like, I am so glad that I didn't go, well, let me show up for Danielle because I know she needs that. Like,
Right.
I showed up out of love. It was an
Mm-hmm.
authentic and a genuine space of how dare I miss anything? This
Mm-hmm.
person has done so much. I will never not show up for her. Like, that's literally what Keith and I say. Like, oh no, that's what's happening. Like, no, we doing that. Like, that's just automatically like I remember your grand opening fell on reparations. And
Yeah, I
girl,
remember. So I was like, you ain't gotta come. It's okay.
the way my hair was blowing back in the wind trying to get there, because I was like, no, I've got to get there before it closes. Like, I'll be late, but I'll be there. And that wasn't to prove anything except that I love you and that our relationship is reciprocal.
Mm-hmm.
That everything that you have given, you will get. And
Yeah.
I believe that you will, and you have, and you will get it
Mm-hmm.
from the people that God put in your life to give it to you. And
Yeah.
it's going to be enough. And when you heal, then it can sit appropriately. You can accept what people say and do. It's like like when you're broken, it's like having high porosity. You heard it, but it left you just as quick as it came in. You have no ability to absorb or retain. You
Right.
can, but
Right.
you can't retain it. And I think now you're leveling off to a point where you know when people genuinely love you and they love you, and you take that love and you go,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, I'm loved. I
Yeah.
believe I deserve love, and
Yeah.
I'm going to have love because I give love. And
Yes.
that's what you got to stand on. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you're in that space. I'm glad that a lot of healing took place
Mm-hmm.
after color culture. I'm glad that I
Mm-hmm.
was there to be sad, even more sad, and maybe just help close up of the last few wounds
Yeah.
in that area
Yeah.
of womanhood, because I know that womanhood too is an issue.
Yeah.
Women, we
Yes.
struggle
Yes.
with that,
We do.
and I'm just glad that we were able to do that for each other, and you could be there during those times. It wasn't all good. I
Mm.
never thought it was all good. I thought what we were doing was great,
Right.
but the undercurrent of it all, how we were doing it,
Right.
it
Right.
was tough. But I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing right now if it wasn't for the people that laid down on the ground. Like, I walked on y'all's backs.
Right. Right.
And for that, I'll forever be grateful. I'll never not give those flowers and say, that first four folks,
Mm-hmm.
you, Crystal, Brian, and Alonda,
Mm-hmm.
they were the four
Right.
that laid down so that I could walk.
Right. Right. That
And
breed.
now that I'm up and running and can do different and
Mm-hmm.
can do better,
Mm-hmm.
it pleases my soul, excuse me, it pleases my soul to say and still be a part of this. You'll always have a ticket to every event. You'll always be invited to everywhere we go. You'll always be able to come to the team trainers if it's someplace you want to go to and
Right.
some fun things. Like, you'll always have a space because of who you are
And
and
you've done
because
that.
you
Like,
represent
and
and
you've done that. It's like, like you like, hey, color culture is because even though, I say this all the time, but I always say color culture for life. Because it's
Mhm.
like it's still it's not just about the relationship, but it's about the culture of what we bought into, the culture and what we came into, the culture that added to all of us as stylists and colorists, that gave us education and exposure and wisdom to be able to be who we were unapologetically. And so that's why I say I'm always going to be a part of color culture. I always, because I love people, I still love the people that are around. And, when you invite me to the events or, like when we was in Florida, you was like, hey, come to our party, come hang out with us at the house. I enjoy that. It was like it's almost as if I never left. Right. KK for
Right.
life.
Right. And it's like you can't leave. You'll always have that open door that swings whatever way you want it to swing.
Yes.
When you want to come through, you come through. When you say I'm gonna sit this one out, you sit it out. And it's just
Mhm.
because you were able to help. You know why? And then another respectful thing. It's hard to train somebody to do your job.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, but you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Right.
And you just took little Ebony by her hand and was like, now listen here, Jersey. All right, Jersey, let me show you how it's get. And she watched you and she knew like
She
you
did.
were the general, but she is now that
Yeah.
role personified. Like
Yeah,
she
I know. I knew she
now
I knew
it's
she would
her.
take it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she the one that's like doing all the things. And I have the same regard for her because now I have to say, Ev, you don't have to beat nobody up today. Like she's so protective. You know what I mean?
She
Like
is.
she, but
To the
she,
10th power.
yeah, but she makes sure things is done. She's like you.
Mhm.
She hold the money. Like
Yeah.
I know I could give you everything and then say, Danielle be like, well, just wait a minute. I'm gonna count it up and put it in order, and I'll be right back. And then they'll roll it up. I mean, you had an accountability about yourself
Right.
um, that was trustworthy,
Yeah.
and you helped bring someone up that could fill your space when you left,
Yes.
and that meant a lot. That was truly pivotal too, so that I could continue to build the team and move forward. But I'm just grateful that God brought you in my life when he did, and I'm glad he took you out when he did, because you needed to do exactly what it is that you're doing right now.
It
That's
is.
undeniable. You're definitely walking in your space, but I believe timing is everything, and
Yes.
you are now ready for it. You
Yes.
weren't ready
But
5.
here's the funny thing though. No, remember, okay, yo, I want to go bring this up, because this the this a ongoing joke in color culture, and IG it might be ready to give out because they cut off after an hour. But
Come on.
remember that time where we was in the training, so I hated hearing myself talk. She would be like, I need y'all to go live, I need y'all to talk to the people, I need y'all to communicate with the people. And I'm like, I would look at those lives like, I don't look right, I don't sound right, I don't sound like. And it didn't help that every time we went to culture camp, everybody would tell me, you sound like Snoop from The Wire. What? I don't want to be Snoop. Y'all stop calling me that. And so I didn't want to be Snoop, but I hated my voice. I hated the way I sound because I was like, I didn't want to sound ghetto. And so that was this ongoing thing. But we have this joke about me and these vehicles and boom, boom at our training.
I still got that video.
Oh, don't
So
send it to me.
we would do this thing called coming to the stage, and we would bring all the team members up, and I would just randomly give them a part of the curriculum to explain. And Danielle got to talking about something, and somehow she was like, because I'm the queen of analogies, so I think she was trying to come up with
I was
something, and it
trying to
was
come
like,
up with
you know how when you got on skates and then you just start, rolling, and then you just, keep rolling, and she did that for like a whole like 90 seconds to a minute, and me and Crystal were like, and I
what
remember
you talking
Crystal
about,
said,
Willis?
Danny, let me just go ahead and help you. She was like, Danny, I'm gonna let you look, I'm gonna save you. I don't know where you're going
Get
with
out of
this.
there.
It's over. So
Get
then
out
we
of
would
there,
be
sis.
like you pushing. I'd be like you pushing, you pushing a wagon or something you was talking about. And I was like, well, I've never said that
And
again
I
in
was
my
just
life.
like,
Like, what
okay,
is
thank
that?
you. And I was like, okay, thank you. And took my seat like, shift, this
I
is
still
not
got
for
that
me.
video. I might post it for you.
You better not.
I have all of y'all's video,
Oh
every
my
last one,
gosh.
Ebony too. If she
But
came to
so,
the last one, I have
yes.
all of y'all's videos still in my phone, and I will not ever delete them. They will go in some type of archive to remember. Maybe I'll do something like a memory about.
Uh-huh.
I got all of our first trainings, our first meetings. I got them all.
And it's funny though, just the funny thing of it, because that's what I thought. I'm like, the very thing that I hated. Right. Wait a minute. Ab said, wait a minute. The very thing that I hated. I'm now doing, but it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with God and exposing, us to be our authentic selves and to walk in our truth and to value those relationships, come to value those relationships from a healing place, a freedom place, and not to look at those relationships through the lens of pain. And so that's why I wanted to have this relationship with this conversation with you, because I wanted you to know that I value you and our relationship. And there are things that you've done for me that I probably won't even share with people, but it's just God always send you to me when he needed. He has used you multiple times, and I just wanted to publicly say thank you. I love you. I value our relationship, and this is what family is about.
Amen.
We fight, we argue, we have healthy confrontation, and then we heal through where we need to be. And that's when you have God in your heart, and that's what late night tea is about. Just honoring those people, and just being a vessel to show people this is how you break up and make
You
up.
know what? If y'all don't take anything away from this relation, from this conversation, it's learn how to break up, but
Mhm.
not break down.
Mm.
It
Mm.
is okay to leave a relationship or end a relationship. It's not okay to destroy any chance that it will ever have unless you mean it. Now there are some relationships
Yeah, they
I know
just
for a fact we ain't never got to worry about it.
no. You just slam the door like, whoo.
We good. Like, no, when I say we
Mm.
good, like, I mean, no, we good. No
Good.
hard feelings, no, no malice, but we
Yes.
good, and we ain't coming back around this mountain no more. So there are some
Mm.
relationships you put a period in, but most of the relationships, just be mindful to put a comma,
Yes. Yes.
because there may be a continuation.
Yeah, and you never know when you might need that person, or
You
when
never
God,
know.
you never know. And God always use the people that you at least expect. And so,
Into
you
that.
know, this was a great conversation,
It
guys. I
was.
hope now the tea is out. We don't gotta be on TMZ about why she left, why they break
No,
up.
nobody really asked me why you left. I think people just naturally saw the evolution in you, and I'm like,
Mm.
she's on to discover new things, to pursue new things. Like, I think nobody, they might have said where is she, but nobody said, oh, like what happened. Like, I don't think anybody ever thought,
Right.
well, our relationship was way too solid. I don't know
Yeah.
what you expected, but I never expected it to go south. I just knew it was going this way. But I think everybody saw your evolution because you were such a figure in the color culture. It was only natural
Right.
to see the maturation and the evolution of yourself in the personal space, to be
Mhm.
able to pursue what you needed to pursue for you. So,
Yes.
I mean, ain't nobody looking for us on TMZ, sis. We
No, yeah, yeah. I'm just saying, that's how, I'm up there with you. You real important and stuff. You swinging up there with the big dogs, So I'm like, they might have had us on TMZ. No, I'm just joking.
And tell me, y'all better learn how to do this thing, do this life, girl. You better learn to get you some good folks around you.
Yes,
How to
yes.
keep the
Get
right
you
folks.
some good
You know
folks.
what? I ain't about no cancel culture. I'm about council culture. That's what I've been saying since
Ooh,
last
cancel
week.
culture.
I am not for cancel culture. I'm for council culture. Now, there are some people that have to get canceled, but they are very far and few. Not people that make mistakes. Those are people who put stakes in the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. People that put stakes in the ground and say, this what it is. I ain't got no ability to change. I don't want to do anything. Those are the people that I will cut. But people who make mistakes are not people that I cancel.
Right,
So
right, right.
I just wanted to share that, just
Thank
going
you.
forward.
And I thank you for those great last words to you guys. She said, y'all got it. It's from the queen herself, Kia, artistically Neil Bacon, from the
Yes.
color culture, and from Texture versus Race. If you have not followed her, you don't know her, you need to follow her, because she is making waves and leveling some playing fields when it comes to the beauty industry. And I am very grateful and thankful for having you on Late Night Tea tonight. I thank you. I love you. And I appreciate you, and I'll be seeing and talking to you soon.
You
Thank you
will.
guys for joining us. I appreciate y'all for tuning in for this late night tea conversation. And I hope that this helps you to better be able to have healthy confrontations and to, you know, find healing and freedom in your relationships. So thank you guys for joining us.
Thank
Y'all
you,
have a
guys. Thank you,
wonderful night.
everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Danielle. I
you.
love you, baby. We're
I
gonna
love
talk
you
about
too.
some of the new stuff you told me, but okay.
All right. Off the air.
Off there.
All right. I love you.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night, y'all. Bye, Jersey.
Bye, honey.